Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom, everybody. In the name of Yahushua Mashiach, all praises go to the Most High Yah. So I want to come on this channel. I want to do another brief video based on the grace and mercy the Most High has given me through His Son. I want to share something real briefly, just some encouragement as we prepare for tomorrow, Shabbat lesson by the grace of Yah. Just want to share some things, hopefully give some exhortation, some encouragement, some hope for the future. And the title of this brief lesson won't be too long-winded, may not go past 20 minutes, but the title of it is going to be the Testimonies of YHWH Give Us Strength and Hope. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to talk about how the Most High Yah, His testimonies in Scripture, all throughout the Bible, they give us hope, they give us direction, they counsel us, okay? In our journeys as we continue our service to the Father, our dedication to His Son, our dedication to His Word. And then when we go through different situations in life, the Most High gives us the understanding to read His testimonies, to get insight, to give us encouragement and hope, okay? Everything that's going to come to pass as it is this day and in the future, we have a testimony to give us encouragement, okay? So I want to talk about that because we're living in these times, man, where we have to always encourage each other. We have to stay encouraged. The book tells us we have to stay in the mind of Mashiach, the Messiah. And by doing that, we have to do these things. Pray, seek the Most High, stay in the Word, encourage each other in person, encourage each other if we have access to these online sites. Do whatever we can based on the measure and grace of Elohim and bring out the fullness, the truth of the Spirit of Elohim and His Word, so no one's confused. And so we all can stand before Elohim on that day of judgment in righteousness and confidence. And one confidence we have to keep is always remembering the testimonies of Yah. We all got individual testimonies of Yah doing certain things for us. And it's important that we have those and that we share those with others so that others can find hope and direction in their time of need. Okay, the Most High set it up that way. That's why it's so important to always tell people, anytime you share a personal testimony with Yah, always be 100% accurate and true so Yah can get the full praise and honor and glory. Because he don't need us like add to a testimony or making up something, because He's powerful. He's all knowing. He's all things. So we don't have to exaggerate Him. He don't need exaggeration. He can do everything. All right. So I got about 5 or 6 precepts I'm gonna read today. Nothing real long-winded by the grace of Yah. But let's start this off in Hebrews 11 now. The book of Hebrews chapter 11. Okay. And we're gonna start in verse 1. It says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report." All right. Through faith we understand the worlds were framed by the word of Yah, so that things which are seen were not made by things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto Elohim a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Elohim testifying of his gifts, and by it being dead yet speaketh. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because Elohim had translated him. For before his translation he has this testimony, that he pleased Elohim. But without faith it is impossible to please Elohim. For he that comes to Elohim must believe that He is, and that He is the rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. I want to stop at verse 6. When you're thinking about Elohim, when you're reading the word, when you're hoping for things, when you're asking for direction, you have to know that He is the rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. And one of the things that gives you strength, hope, and encouragement of these things is when you know of all of His testimonies. I'm not just talking about the testimonies to show all the things the Most High did to His people in the future, things that were good, but even things when it came to judgment, that's good also, because the Most High is a righteous judge. So even judgment brings out the clarity and the understanding of Elohim. When we can clearly see His judgment, read about it, it's a testimony to us for now and the future that we can't slip up, because the Most High is also in the business of chastising those He loves. And then we see how the world is today, how much evil is increased. It gives us an opportunity to think about it, and it counsels our mind and reminds us that the Most High did these things. He allowed that. He did these things. These are his testimonies. His people operated this way. He scattered them to the four corners of the earth. And so that gives us hope to know that when the scriptures talk about how the Most High is going to judge and make war with the enemy and the powers that be and the nations that hate Elohim, you're not just saying, oh man, how's that going to happen? You're reading these examples of him doing these things in the past. And so now you have a counsel that help you in the future when you're sharing it with people. Look, man, the Most High did these things. And these are the things he's going to do in the future. These are his testimonies. All right. So all of the testimonies of Yah give us strength. Every single one of them, whether it's a judgment on a person or a righteous blessing for a person, it's a testimony for us to help us. All right. Because you got to think about it. And all your journey with Elohim, even for those who are new and those who are not new, and all your journeys, let's be honest, the Most High has done some things for you, but he also has taught you some lessons in life. All right. You need those testimonies to help you. That gives you strength and hope. All right. So let's go to 1 Corinthians. And Paul talked about the same thing when he gave examples of the Israelites in past time and the mistakes they made, and how those were examples as he was talking to the Gentile church at the time that was mixed with Israelites and Gentiles. He talked to this specific group of people that was a part of the body of Mashiach, and he told them these same things, right? So go to 1 Corinthians 10:11. It says, now all these things happen to them for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. Wherefore let him that thinks standeth take heed, lest he fall. This helps you not fall. This helps you stand firm, okay? Reading about what happened to some of the forefathers in past time, reading about the blessings of past time. Now you know, okay, you know what, Father, I know what I need to do. I know how I need to operate. Oh, I got to be careful in this, because I can't be letting this happen, Father. I got to stand firm in this area, and it gives you your strength. It keeps you in the mind of Messiah. That's why we have to always encourage each other with great testimonies and things the Most High has done for us. I even give testimonies sometimes of things the Most High taught me a lesson on. So I know not to walk that way no more, that walk down that fox path, and so I don't sin against my Elohim. So I also share some of those testimonies sometimes as well too. Not to everyone, because you got to be careful who you share your testimonies with. All right, but you share them in hoping that person can see, hear, and not make the same mistake, and they can stay in the mind of Yahushua until the day Yahushua returns, and he finds him what? A great bride ready for the reunion to see the son of Elohim in the future, the Father. So this is our plan. This is our goal. We want this. This is what we hope for. But we got to continue in this way and operate this way so we can get to that point in our life. All right, we got to stay in the truth. All right, so let's go to Psalms 19:7. Like I told you, man, this is not real long-winded. Just want to share something a little bit under 20 minutes. If it go longer than 20, then yeah, it is what it is. But praise Yah. I just got a few precepts to share. Testimonies of Yah give us hope and strength. All right, so let's go to Psalms 19, verse 7. It says it here as well. Look, the law of Yah is perfect, converting the soul. The testimonies of Yah is sure, making wise the simple. See, when the Father sets up a testimony and he shows us these examples, these are sure. There isn't no make-believe or no confusion. When you read a testimony of Yah, it comes to pass. The things he said will happen, happen. The things that's going to happen in the future, going to happen. Everything that's written has happened, and more things going to happen in the future. So when you hear people talking about how they man-made book, we don't gotta like take heed to that, because we understand all these things written is to give his people and his whole creation hope in him. Even if they reject it, he left it out on the open. Even though they reject him and mock him, he still got the book of hope right in front of him. All right. It's our job to stay in this hope. It's our job to stay connected to these words, to stay connected to his testimonies, and sharing in hopes of hoping others can be brought to the knowledge of the truth as well. All right. That's the goal. That's always going to be the goal. Let's give you another example. Let's go to Psalms 66. And in fact, skip that one. Let's go to Psalms 119. All right. So Psalms 119. Let's go here real briefly by the grace of Yah. So Psalms 119. And we're going to start. Just read verse 24. That's all. Nothing too long-winded by the grace of Yah. You know, I'm at 10 minutes now. We'll see where we go from here. Let's see. So Psalms 119. Look at this. 24. It says, thy testimonies also are my delight and my counselors. The testimonies of Yah give you counsel. It gives you direction. It gives you a expectation, expected end. So let's kind of talk about this. Right? And I put this right here as well too. I love that scripture. It said the testimonies give me counsel. So I put this. Think about all the testimonies in scripture. Each testimony builds up your expectation and hope. Even when Yahushua judgment is shown in scripture, gives us hope and assurance. Let's go through the book right now briefly, right? Let's kind of just think about what we see in scripture and think about the things that came to pass and think about things that's coming in the future. All right. So you go from Genesis, you see the story of Abraham, right? And how the Most High made a promise with him that he will bring forth a righteous seed, a righteous nation. And that righteous seed will bring forth his son, of course, in the future, right? And so we see the things that Abraham went through as showing hope, showing integrity, standing firm. He almost even sacrificed his own son for the glory of Yah, even though we know Yah wasn't going to have him do that, but Yah was testing him. That testimony was for the nation of Israel, and that's also for the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam to see the level of what hope and dedication you have to Elohim. So in your life, you realize you're going to be sold off for Elohim too, and you're going to do everything you can to serve him and do anything he tells you to do. That's just one of a billion examples in scripture. What happens is the powers that be and people that don't read this book, what happens is they don't believe in his testimonies. They don't believe in his power. So what happens is they think, okay, this book is either make-believe or it's something that's not real, because they don't. In order to believe and follow and put hope in his testimonies, there's a few things you got to do. You have to have the spirit of Elohim. That's the first thing. Because the carnal mind will always try to find doubt. Okay. We saw that in the garden. The carnal mind can find doubt. The spirit of Elohim brings you to the word and gives you the hope and direction to go through this and find counsel in all of his testimonies. The book says the children of Israel will be scattered to the four corners of the earth because of their evil. The book says they'll be scattered and put on slave ships. These things happen. Why does something like that give the people that got put on slave ships hope and give the rest of the world hope? It gives them hope because the same Elohim that judged this people also say he bringing redemption on earth in Yahushua name. So if you can see the people that's being judged, they got put on slave ships, and you see their descendants now, you can say the Father word is true. So if you see that and you read another scripture that says judgment is coming on the world, in the latter days they shall consider it plainly, now you know, oh man, Elohim ain't playing around. He did that to his people. He's not playing. And you need these examples, all right? See, as it is this day, and we've talked about this before, the world, they don't fully know Elohim. So what's happening right now is the world can mock because he's not really bringing forth all his full judgments on the world yet, all right? He's speaking to his people that serve him, and he's righteously judging them, and then he's judging people, but overall, the whole world isn't being judged yet. They're right now, they're living at ease. They have their freedoms, and the Most High is going to bring a righteous judgment in due season. And that's why they don't believe it yet. In fact, let's go to 2 Peter. This is why sometimes they even do this. See, when you don't trust in the testimonies of Elohim, this can happen right here. So even though I have this scripture right here, because I told you I didn't have that many scriptures for this lesson, I do want to touch on this one really brief, okay? Go to 2 Peter now, and I'll put it on there as well too, and then we're going to be done. I'm going to share this real briefly, y'all, just to give you some encouragement. You know, I'm not trying to go too long with it by the grace of Yah. All right, so 2 Peter chapter 3, and we're going to go to verse 4. All right, and we're going to go down. Let me go to it right now for you. So 2 Peter 3, and 4 says, actually, 2 Peter 3 and 3. Let's start at verse 3. So let me change that real briefly for the audience. Let me change that real quick. So 2 Peter chapter 3, we're going to start at verse 3 to 4. All right, save that real briefly so you can see it. Praise Yah. All right, it says, 2 Peter 3, 3 to 4. Knowing this first, there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. For this they willingly are ignorant of that by the word of Elohim the heavens were old, and the earth standing out of the water in the water. And it goes over all the power and the might of the glory of Yah. It's going over the power and the might of his testimonies. But right now, it's Scofer is probably saying right now, listen, man, ain't nothing about to happen. But we are fully established, and we have to stay established in his testimonies. They give us hope, they give us direction, and all throughout this book, you see the Most High gives us these examples for a reason, to share with others. Now, we can't control if they believe it or not. Also, your individual things that you deal with, either your individual struggles and things that your weaknesses, or you have scriptures and testimonies to give you hope and direction, so you don't think that you're alone in this walk, in this way. You're not alone. Our forefathers in past time, even as it is this day, those who serve Elohim and keep his commandments, there are certain trials that they do go through, okay? And some of these trials, some people, they passed away, okay? That doesn't necessarily mean they don't have hope. They have hope in the resurrection. And some of these trials, they make it through it. It all depends on what the will of Elohim is for your life. But overall, you have a testimony that's set up for you in order to give Yah glory, in order to keep you in this way, firm in the way. All right. So it's important the Most High will use those examples for us sometimes too. Let me give you one more example. It's in Jeremiah as it pertains to judgment on earth. We trust the judgment coming on earth because we didn't read everything in scripture and it happened. And we didn't experience Yah's glory, his presence. And we know for surely it is Yahuwah Elohim Yisrael that saves us. And all these things are made possible through his son Yahushua. The whole world may not see that. And everybody watching this video may not believe that, right? But when the Most High reveals himself to you and you start to open up this book and you receive his spirit, then you'll understand what we're saying. If you're trying to see it right now, according to the flesh, you may not fully see it because you might try to use your own intellect, your own limited mind to justify why you won't believe in his testimonies because they're too hard to believe in. Because maybe in your mind, you think, oh man, that don't make sense, all right? Because you're using your limited mind to do so. But let me show you an example of another one. Let's go to Jeremiah. I'm going to close this thing out. I don't want to go. How long I've been going so far? 18 minutes. So I said under 20 minutes. We shall see. All right. So Jeremiah. Let me put this on the screen really briefly. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 24. Oh, one second. Let's see the scripture that's written. 24. All right, let's read this last one. So, actually start verse 23 and 24. Behold, the whirlwind of Yah goes forth with fury, a continual whirlwind, and it shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yah shall not return until ye have done it, until ye have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days, you shall consider it. See, he said in the latter days, you're going to consider it. Now, of course, he was talking to his nation, and he's also talking to the other sons and daughters of Adam. Look, in the latter days, you're going to see the fierce anger of Yah. As simple as that. And so guess what? When we read that, we know what it's talking about because we understand and we can read about Yah's righteous judgment on those who offend him. Okay, and we see it. And he's also given us hope as well. But that keeps us in a way. It allows us to continue in the fear of Yah, all right, because he loves us. You know, in a perfect situation, those who love Yah, and though he the creator of heaven and earth, and the whole creation should automatically love him, right? But we understand that the curse of sin came upon the earth, and now we understand that people's minds don't naturally submit to Elohim no more. You were made to submit to Elohim. That's why people go through these stages in life where they be all oppressed in their mind and demons attack them. And you got folks going on TV saying, man, why would a person want to harm themselves? They got all the money in the world. They got this. The Most High is giving every person, whether you like it or not. He made it where I call it a biblical gene, where you were made to worship and honor him. Even when you try your best not to, that's the way you were formed and made in the womb. You were made to be dependent, just like animals. You see animals, we know y'all made animals and they're made to depend on y'all. But the way animals' minds think, they depend on humans. The animals that obviously like cattle, they depend on humans to take care of them. We're not talking about the wild beasts, right? Because they stay in the wilderness. We're talking about like cows and sheep. They were made to be submissive to humans, right? And so we all submit to Elohim. I'm comparing that same example to us. He made us. He made us where we're supposed to trust in his testimonies. He made it where we always supposed to believe him, okay? But when the curse of sin came upon the world, it poisoned the mind and it gave you your own free will to think a certain way. And those thoughts are not always pleasing to Elohim. And so that's why people don't trust in his testimonies. Rest assured, people, every testimony of Yah is strong. Every testimony of Yah is hope. It's direction. It's a counsel. When you're struggling and you're having weak times, it's your counselor. There's no other. You can go see a counselor and they can regurgitate the same thing I'm saying right now. But it's nothing more than you going to your prayer closet and seeking the presence of Elohim and his counsels. Let it give you hope. Let it give you direction. When you get frustrated, when you see things, remember what y'all said about how you're going to judge evil. When you hear about certain things happening, when you see a testimony of Yah and you see the Most High do something good for you, let folks know. When the Most High give you a testimony, share it. And I know we got some folks out there that don't believe in testimonies of being the truth. So what? May that increase their faith as well. Because when you share a testimony, a miracle or something, Most High show you, folks don't believe it. You know how that goes sometimes. That don't make your testimony not true. So anyway, just want to share that brief exhortation on Shabbat. Nothing long-winded, not that many scriptures, just some hope so we can continue to hope in the testimonies of YHWH, Elohei, Israel. The testimonies of Yah give us strength and hope. And when you go to that last chapter in Hebrews, from 8 to 40, it's giving you different testimonies, different scenarios. Old Bible I had, they used to call it the Hall of Fame of Faith. We don't get caught up in all that vanity. There's no Hall of Fame of faith, right? It's your faith in Elohim, and it's these examples that the Most High has given us in Scripture. So once again, everybody, nothing real long-winded, just a little lesson, just to give some encouragement, some hope. All praise go to Yah through his son, Yahushua Mashiach. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We're broadcasting tomorrow at 2:05 p.m. All right. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about some subjects as well. I'll put it on the YouTube channel once I get everything organized on it. All right, everybody. Shalom, shalom.